I am Sheila, the she and SheRo.
And I am Rhonda Renee, the Ro and SheRo. Let's get into this, Sheila.
So, what are we talking about today, Ro?
Today we are talking about why we decided we were going to do our podcast. Why do we feel like we could offer something to the world and our community in regards to just becoming the best version of yourself?
Yeah, so if you notice, our name SheRo is a play off of our names. I am Sheila and this is Roanna. But what we really get into is talking about everyday SheRos. And we want to offer advice, encouragement, support for all of the women out there who struggle with everyday life.
Trauma, setting boundaries, daddy issues, relationship advice, and just really tapping into like your inner self and really being able to pull back the layers of who you are. I like to call it peeling back the onion, and really just get into the root of things so that you can really understand like why things happen, how to prevent them, and just really be able to be in the fullness of your purpose.
Well put. So, to kick this off, let's start talking about supporting one another. I feel like there's sort of a gap in our community, specifically the African American community,
Absolutely.
where we just don't support each other as much as we should. So I feel like we should be intentional about complimenting one another, supporting one another's businesses, encouraging one another when we're talking about doing something or embarking on something new, and just being a positive light in one another's lives. I mean, we've all gone through a lot, especially over this last year and a half.
Yes.
But even before that, as a people, we have been through a lot. And so I just think it's important that we are constantly intentional about adjusting one another's crowns. What do you think about that?
I agree, and I also think that having a sisterhood is very important. I know as women, and I know me because I love hard, we tend to focus a lot of attention and effort into our relationships romantically. However, I think our friendships kind of set the foundation and the tone of that. And I believe that balance is always something that needs to be in play. Without balance, you tend to be one way, and too much of something is never a good thing. And I think that the sisterhood that we have built over the last 5 years,
we're always torn on the time, but it's been about 5 years. I'll give you that one today.
It's been about 5 years, and I cannot even express into words how powerful, how supportive, how deep our connection was from the very beginning. And it really came from a place of like, one of us being in a place that we didn't expect to be in. Mm-hmm. And the other one helped the other one out of it, and then the roles reversed, and so now it's like a ping pong game, and so it's like we're equally as invested, we equally contribute, and we just keep it real. Like
absolutely, that's important. So I'm the friend who I'm gonna tell you the truth. So I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I'm working on softening my approach. That's part of my growth journey. But I'm going to be honest with you and tell you the truth, and I rely on my friends that are going to be honest with me and open with me and tell me the truth. But speaking of which, I think it's important that you check on your strong friends.
Yes.
So I think that was one.
Too.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the things that connected Roanna and I. We had that in common. We were always sort of like the backbone of our families, mm-hmm. and even some of our friendship circles. And so it's like, because we're constantly putting that effort and energy into making sure we dot all the I's and cross all the T's and get it all right. From the outside looking in, it may look like we don't need anybody. Mm-hmm. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's probably something we did intentionally. Like, we don't want to need anybody, but everybody needs somebody. And so when our friendship developed organically, it became this. We were able to show up for one another in ways that we've never had other people to really be able to show up for us. But it's probably more so because we don't ask. And we create this image where people think we don't need anybody. But check on your strong friends. They need help too. They need advice too. They need to talk and hang out too.
And make an effort to always be communicative, be honest. And it doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be passive aggressive. It just has to be, what is it that I'm feeling? Let me feel that authentically. Let me feel that in its fullness. And even if I need time to process it, take the time to process it and then relay the information. And no matter what response you get back, at least you did your best to be the most authentic person that you can be. And when you stand in that, you tend to set boundaries for yourself. And we'll talk about boundaries a little later.
We'll talk about a lot later. So that brought something to mind. We're talking a lot about friendships and being there for your friends and things that happen organically. But what about strangers on the street? Like, I think we have this tendency to, we'll see women in the street and we're like, oh, she got an attitude problem, or she's stuck up, or she's this or she's that. And it's like, you don't know what that woman is going through. Pay her a compliment. Say something to her that might make her day, or pay for her coffee. Just do something to try to encourage her and lift her head. So that's when I say adjust her crown, that's kind of like what I mean. Like, constantly be looking for ways to uplift women. We rely on men to do that for us, but really when it comes from another woman, it hits differently. You know what I mean?
I think, and that's why I was so focused on building the strong relationships with your girlfriends, because we prop each other up on the inside because we understand each other the most. The male species, we all say that they're a little different. And I think they feel the same way about us, but we have so many things in common, and the plights that we have are very similar. The obstacles that we come up against are very similar, and I think that community and that support can allow a woman to be the best version of herself. If you look at these influencers on Instagram and you start to find out that some of them are connected and some of them are friends, like based on who's commenting on who, you understand why they are at the top of their game, because they did the work, but they also have people around them that are also doing the work and also supporting them in those roles.
Agree. And one of the things that I like too is when I see other women supporting, encouraging other women, but giving them the game. So like, there's enough money out here for all of us. The industries are big enough for all of us to tap into. So like, if you are experienced at something and you see someone struggling to break an industry or develop something, I feel like we're not as forthcoming with helping them. And I think a part of it is because we all kind of have this struggle mentality a little bit, where we feel like it's like we're against one another, and it's not that way. Like, it's enough money out here for all of us. So I think your blessings really start to flow when you start investing in other people, building relationships, and making sure it's not just about you and you're helping others. So let's try to do that too.
Absolutely.
So we can wrap this up. So do you have a game piece for today, Rhonda?
Game piece for today, and the mantra that I live by all the time, is be true to yourself. That means with how you feel, what you do, how you treat others, and make sure that the best version of yourself is always at the pinnacle or the forefront of what you strive to be.
That was very profound. That's a lot bigger than what I was going to say. So my game piece for today is, I'm going to finish how I started. Adjust her crown. The women in your life, friends, family members, colleagues, co-workers, strangers on the street. Anytime you have an opportunity to lift someone else's head, give them a positive note or word of encouragement, take that opportunity. Just putting that out into the world, you just don't know how it comes back or how it's going to change that person's life. So don't miss out on those opportunities.
I agree.
So with that,
thank you so much for tuning in to the SheRo Game Podcast.
And we kept it light this time, but stay tuned because we're going to get into some really, really deep topics.
Absolutely. This is
Sheila, the She and SheRo.
And I am Rhonda Renee, the Ro and SheRo.
Signing out.
In a minute.
Bye.